Gee Whizzer, was that fun? Good day everyone, and hello from Six Flags Great America. We finally made it here. This is a park that, I guess like any park I visit, it's been on my list for a while. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it here this year, but I happened to tack it on to the end of this trip. So yeah, I did have some issues last night because I wanted to come for the last few hours of the day yesterday and then spend a few hours here this morning, you know, like 2 half days to make a full day, if that makes sense. But it was closed due to the rain, which really sucked, and it was a whole ordeal, but we're here now. So we don't have a lot of time, so I don't know if I'm gonna get all my credits today, but we'll see how many we can get. I'm definitely gonna head over to like the big coasters that have, you know, really drawn me here for sure. And yeah, we'll just see how the day goes. I'm really excited to check out this park and everything it has to offer. So without any further ado, let the Six Flags adventures begin. So one thing to know about Six Flags Great America is that it has an interesting history. So it actually started out as one of the 2 Marriott parks, which is a, like they don't do theme parks anymore, but the reason why like the front entrance is so similar to like California's Great America is because they were owned by the same company. So that's why you get the double-decker carousel and the fountain, and that's why they both have Great America in the name. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And this is also one of the top tier Six Flags parks. Is considered to be one of the better ones. So having visited Great Adventure and then a few smaller ones like St. Louis and Darien Lake, I'm excited to see how this one stacks up. Oh, this is cool. They have some trolley tracks running through. I have no idea if they're in use or not. I have not done my research, but yeah, that's really interesting. Alright, so I've never done a double-decker carousel before, and since they have one here, I had to take the opportunity and hop on. And it's kind of cool to like spin around and be elevated and get to see like the mountain and some of the roller coasters off in the distance. It's kind of fun, and I'm wearing a seatbelt. I've never had to wear a seatbelt on the carousel before, but it totally makes sense given how high up we are. This is cool. Their teacups are covered inside this old, you know, Southwest Mexican looking building. That's so neat. Oh my gosh, I just love seeing the Looney Tunes characters all around this land. So cute. Alright, so I just got off of Raging Bull, which is the park's B&M hypercoaster, and I liked it way more than I thought I would. I mean, I do tend to enjoy the B&M hyper, so I mean, I'm not too surprised, but this one, I don't know, I've heard a lot of mixed opinions about it, and it is one of the earliest B&M hypers. I mean, I think it was the second actually, because Hollister is usually credited as the first because it opened in March of 1999. This one opened just a few months later in May, so it's basically the first one, but it's also B&M's first and only twisted model, and I just thought it was so much fun. I mean, I'm getting to a point where I don't love repetitive airtime, like Behemoth at Canada's Wonderland is starting to make me a little queasy, so to break that up with some like helixes and turns was kind of a nice break. Also, it didn't have a seatbelt, it was just the clamshell restraint. Most rides of this type do have both the seatbelt and the lap bar, so it was kind of a little more freeing not having that belt there. I mean, I normally don't mind the belts, but still, it is a different experience, and I just thought it was way more fun than I thought it would be. I also thought it was going to be shorter than it was. It does not feel short at all. So yeah, Raging Bull, great ride.
Either way, I think you're pretty prepared to enjoy your ride.
Alright, there was any coaster on this trip that would have been like near the top of my bucket list. It would have been Maxx Force, and holy moly was that one hell of a ride. Like, it just, talk about a punch you in the mouth experience. It was super short. I kind of wish it was a little bit longer, but you know what? That launch definitely made up for it. It was so intense, and like, you really got pushed back in your seat there. And I mean, those inversions and that top height are so fun. They're very whippy, and you know what? It's kind of a nice way to end out that intense start there. For those of you who don't know, Maxx Force is currently the fastest accelerating coaster in the world. So it doesn't have the highest top speed, but it gets you to that top speed faster than any other coaster, if that makes sense. So it's not about the speed, it's about the acceleration. And because of that, you feel those forces more than any other launch coaster. And yeah, it was incredible. It was a long wait, and I knew that going in. This coaster is only running one train today, and it doesn't have the biggest capacity ever. So I'd love to get back to this before I leave, but I probably won't because I'm on such a limited time budget and there are so many other coasters in this park to check out, and I'm glad I got it done out of the way. It was so good. I love this so much. Gee, Whizzer, was that fun? But no, it was actually a really good ride. I liked it more than I thought I would. like, it's obviously not the most intense coaster out there, but it was super fun, and it was my first time experiencing a spiral lift coaster. Actually, that's a lie, because I did Cindy's using her a couple weeks ago. But in terms of an old school Schwarzkopf spiral lift, that one was my first. And it was actually rougher than I was expecting too. I mean, not rough, that's not the right word, but it really throws you around side to side. Like, I was going down the first drop, and it's a very gradual slope, and I put my hands up, and at the bottom of that drop, you hit this turn, and it really throws you to the side. So, kind of learned my lesson quickly that you gotta hold on for the ride or, you know, get thrashed around. But yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed that overall, and I'm glad I got to experience a new kind of coaster. Okay, I'm not having lunch quite yet, but I just wanted to point this out because I think this is a cool setup. So they have the County Fair Food Court, which contains a bunch of different restaurants, including like chopsticks, your pizza, nachos, like a bunch of things. And essentially, you go to each booth and you can get what you want, and there's lots of sitting space in the middle. It's kind of like a mini outdoor harmony hall in a way. So unfortunately, it looks like Demon, the park's old Aero Looper coaster, is closed for the day. And that's unfortunate because as far as Aero Loopers go, I think it's the one that I was most looking forward to. I know there's one over at California's Great America as well, but it's kind of sad. I mean, I was kind of looking forward to it, but that's okay. I'm right here near X-Flight, so I think we're gonna hop in line for that and do that one next. I mean, I love a good wing coaster, so let's go. Alright, I just got off of X-Flight, the park's B&M wing coaster, and that was completely unexpected. I feel like that's a theme for today. But yeah, it was a lot more intense than a lot of other wing coasters I've been on. I mean, wing coasters tend to be more swoopy and majestic and kind of like you're soaring, which I love, but this was actually, you know, comparable to the intensity of a B&M invert. It was just so cool, and it had some great moments too. There's a point where you kind of swooped over this little lagoon with a bunch of lily pads, which was super scenic. The near-miss element with the tower was so cool. Maybe one of my favorite near-miss elements that I've experienced on a wing coaster so far. And there's a part towards the end, this big helix where you were right down towards the ground. Like, I swear, if I could have extended my legs just like by half a foot, I would have touched the ground. So overall, I've just been impressed by the coasters here. Like, oh my goodness, all of these rides are exceeding my expectations. So Six Flags Great America, you're doing something right. Also got to point out this amazing pun over here at the gift shop. T-shirts and accessories. Love it. Okay, so Revolution, the ride, was so much fun. This is my first time on one of these inward-facing pendulum rides. I believe it's by Huss, but most pendulum rides, they swing you up way up high, but you don't do a lot of spinning. Like, you maybe do a 180-degree turn on each swing. And this one, although you don't go very high, it spins. Like, to the point where like you feel those forces, you're pushed into your seat. So, I mean, I was expecting to be a little underwhelmed, but no, that was actually so much fun. Don't underestimate these mini Huss pendulums. Just got off of Hollister to ride. Wait, that's not the name? American Eagle. Okay, but let me try that again. All right, I just got off of the American Eagle, the park's marquee classic wooden coaster, and it was interesting. The ride had some great moments of airtime, and then there was this interesting helix at the far end, like just this giant helix that turned you around. So that was cool, I guess. But I can't put my finger on it. It was kind of underwhelming for me. I don't know why. I mean, I did find it a little rough, and it wasn't painful, at least not for me, but I also wasn't sitting over a wheel seat, so I don't know if that makes any difference. If this is your home park or if you've ridden the coaster before, let me know, because I'm kind of curious about that. But yeah, I don't know. Normally I'm a huge fan of these classic wooden coasters, but something was missing for me. The other thing is that obviously this ride is supposed to race. It has 2 tracks, but they were only running the one side. And from what I hear, even if they are running both sides, they don't race them anyways. They kind of operate each side independently. So that could have been part of it. But yeah, I think the roughness and the fact that it was slightly on the slow side might have, you know, made me not think so highly of it compared to other wooden coasters I've been on. And to be perfectly clear, I don't think it's a bad ride. I definitely don't hate it. But if I were to come back to the park, I don't think it's one I would prioritize necessarily. Not compared to other wooden coasters. Alright, just got off of Goliath, and wow, was that a fantastic ride. I mean, I've yet to do an RMC that I didn't absolutely love, and Goliath is no exception, but it did some things that I've never experienced on an RMC before. So I mean, even that first turnaround, I felt like I was on some pretty weird angles. That was super cool. The element that I'm sure RMC has a special name for it, but it's basically a dive loop. That was kind of unexpected. I love that. And of course, that stall, the hang time you get, like you were held upside down for way longer than you think you should have. And I'm always a huge fan of that. Like, I mean, I love rides like Copperhead Strike, and yeah, it was just all around a great ride. I'm a huge fan, and might even be in my upper tier of RMCs. I definitely gotta sit down and rank them all one of these days, but yeah, it was great. Alrighty, so I did promise myself that I would leave somewhere between 4 and 5, and it's about 4:30 now, but I don't think I can leave without doing Batman the Ride. And yes, these inverted coasters are at every Six Flags park ever, pretty much, but this one happens to be the original, not only the original Batman clone, but the original B&M invert anywhere. So, for historical purposes, I need to take a ride on it, and I hear it's one of the better ones too, so I'm excited to see whether those trimmers are true. Okay, I do have to say, I love how themed these Batman rides are. I've yet to encounter one that doesn't have a really cool entrance and a cool, like, industrial style station. But that is something with these Six Flags parks. I mean, Six Flags isn't known for their theming, but they do have little touches here and there, more than you think. And especially at this park, I like how there's actually somewhat distinct areas, definitely not as good as other parks, but there's a bit of effort there. It's something. Alright, Batman was amazing. These rides always are, and I'd agree with most of the consensus out there. I'd say the one here in Great America is the best, at least out of the ones I've been on so far. It's comparable to St. Louis in terms of intensity. I'd say this one is elevated by the fact that it kind of goes out over a water feature. There's a little creek running through, so that little touch of natural beauty adds a bit to the experience. So yeah, it's a great ride, and not much more I can say beyond that hasn't already been said about the Batman. And that is going to do it for my day at Six Flags Great America. Overall, I really enjoyed this park, but I barely scratched the surface. Like I said, I was a little short on time because I drove home that night all the way back to Ontario, so I had to leave the park early, but the operations were also very, very slow on all of the rides. I really should have gotten the Flash Pass for that day because I barely did half the park. I mean, I think I got 5 credits that day if I'm doing the math correctly, and there's 15 coasters in the park, so you know, like, this was really just a sampling of what Six Flags Great America has to offer. But like I said, I had a lot of fun. This park has a lot of great coasters and a lot of rides that surprised me in a good way. It's just their operations need some work. But I've been finding that's true of a lot of the Six Flags parks, at least in the 2023 season. Regardless of that, I'm really looking forward to returning to this place one day. I don't know if it'll happen this year in 2024, but if not, then definitely in 2025, I'm going to make this park a priority because I need to get those missing credits, and the rides that I did do were really good, and I want to do all of those again. The other thing I kind of want to reiterate about this park is that it actually has some decent theming. Like, there's actually some very distinct lands within the park. Like, you had that Southwest territory, which was really well done. You had that Americana themed land, and then I didn't even show any of it, but there's also part of the park that's New Orleans themed. So it's got a good vibe, especially for a Six Flags park. So yeah, I'm definitely going to dive more into that on my next visit. Anyways, that does it for today's adventure, and that's a wrap on our Midwest coaster road trip. I really tried to fly through these videos because I have one more road trip series to get through, and then we're officially going to kick things off with Season 8. More details are going to come on that in a separate video, but for now, yeah, one more road trip series to go, and Season 7 will be complete. So, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more vlogs from theme parks, attractions, and beyond, you might want to consider becoming a subscriber. You can also find me on social media. I'm at ADBParker on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, and at Adventures with Parker on Facebook and TikTok. As always, big shout out to my patrons for going above and beyond in supporting this channel. I really appreciate what you guys do for me, and if you're interested in supporting the channel for as little as $2 a month, which will help support me in doing things like paying for software, buying new equipment, and I have this idea for a website that I just haven't been able to get off the ground yet, but if you want to support me in any of that, head on over to patreon.com/ADBParker to learn more. I offer a bunch of really cool perks depending on the tier, so yeah, definitely go check that out if you're interested. Of course, I also really appreciate all of the non-financial ways that you support this channel by liking, commenting, sharing, and all that YouTube stuff. So thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for watching today's episode. And until next time, the adventures are calling. Bye!